Hey guys, I just want to do another quick video to elaborate a little more on the concept of money. Um, as I said before, there are two types of law. I'll probably do an, the whole video on law eventually, but so there's two types of law. There's the law of the land, there's the law of the water. Because that's all there is on this planet is land and water. The law of the land is common law. It's different in whatever land you're in. There's things you can do in America you can't do in France. There's things you can do in France you can't do in China. The law of the land is different everywhere. But the law of the water is the same because water is everywhere. The law of the water is called Uniform Commercial Code for a reason, and it's to make sure that if one country does business with another country, that they pay. If China does business with Russia, they're going to pay because they're operating under Uniform Commercial Code. So basically what has been done is that the money that we use is a representation of water. So that when you use money, you have to operate under the law of the water, Uniform Commercial Code. Which is why we have all these sayings, cash flow. That's why they're called banks. The river banks direct the currency of the cash flow. You have to understand, these are word people. They care very much about words, and like the example I gave in the previous video, govern, control, maintain, mind, government, control the mind. They use that term sort of as justification for what they're doing. So if they mind control you, well, they told you about it. You accepted a government, which is mind control, so it's justified in their mind that they're controlling your mind. Well, just to briefly go over this idea of using paper money, it might be too difficult to explain exactly how we transition from bartering actual goods to using paper money, but if you're interested, there's a good chapter in the book Gods of Eden which explains it very, very well. But fast forward to modern day, the money we use is backed by nothing, called fiat currency. All these fancy terms they use. But basically what happens is, when the United States needs some money, it goes to its friend, the Federal Reserve, which has nothing to do with the United States whatsoever other than to provide currency for it. And the United States says, okay, we need $1 million, $1 billion, $1 trillion. And the Federal Reserve says, okay, we'll print up $1 trillion for you, and in exchange the United States prints up a bunch of bonds, both of which are created out of complete thin air. Then the exchange is made. But since we're essentially borrowing the money from the Federal Reserve, the Fed says, okay, we're going to give you this money, but you have to pay it back with interest. Just like any other fucking bank. Now, does anyone see a problem with that? All the currency that the United States gets comes from the Federal Reserve. So, where is the money supposed to come from to pay for the interest on the debt that we owe to the Fed? It doesn't exist. It's not there. Never existed. This is what inflation is. Inflation is the fact that we owe interest on borrowed money without any extra money to pay for the interest. That is the definition of inflation in very crude terms. It's a giant Ponzi scheme. That's all it is. Literally, it's a giant Ponzi scheme. The biggest Ponzi scheme in history. I mean, think about it. Nearly every country is in debt. In debt to who? I mean, who's got all the money in the casino? You know what I mean? Like, where did it all go? Doesn't this strike anyone as odd? Who do we owe the money to? How can the entire world be in debt? How do you not see that we've been lied to? We've been duped. They throw these fucking terms out. Debt ceiling, fiscal cliff. Oh man, I can't believe it. These words mean nothing. The bottom line is that the United States is fucking $25 trillion in debt. That is a debt created out of thin air, based on money that's created out of thin air, without any possible way to pay it back. Perfect. Genius. I mean, if you're on the receiving end, genius. This is the most genius plan you could have ever conceived. this new, I don't know if you guys heard of this $1 trillion coin. Apparently we can, there's a limit to the amount of currency you could place, the amount of value you can place on a gold coin, but there is no limit to the amount of value you could place on a platinum coin. So they're talking about making a platinum coin valuing at $1 trillion then depositing it to the Federal Reserve, and then there's $1 trillion that we can now use to fucking ah man. I don't know if you guys have ever seen the South Park episode Pinewood Derby, the 13th season. It's hilarious. You have to see it. It's classic, and it totally characterizes exactly what I'm trying to say. But we are creating the value of this currency that we're using collectively. We are all collectively responsible for the social mores that are plaguing our society today. Collectively, all of us. Which is also part of the ingeniousness of it all. You know, how do you get a huge group of people who are all contributing to one thing in a way that they don't know, because it's centered around them focusing on themselves. I guess that's all I have to say about money for now. Except that, everyone knows. Everyone knows this is just bullshit. Really deep down, everyone knows. They're just pretending not to, or they're just brainwashed. They're just used to convincing themselves that it's not bullshit, or when I explain to people how it's all bullshit, and they know, and they know that they know, and they come to the realization that they know that they know, then they make the argument, oh well, not in these terms, but they essentially say, oh well, it's our bullshit. It's the way we do things. So pile on the bullshit, right? And everywhere I look, it seems like everyone in this fucking society wants me to buy into the bullshit. When deep in the back of their mind, they know that it's bullshit. And the argument that, oh, well, yeah, it's bullshit, but who cares? I care. I don't want to fucking sit around and smell bullshit all the fucking time. Pardon my analogies, but you understand what I'm saying. We all have the responsibility now to contemplate alternative ways to conduct our society. The Native Americans, the indigenous cultures, they had it right, obviously, from the beginning. It's pretty simple. Don't take more than you need. Share with your neighbor. Basic tenets of every religion. They were practicing it. I'm not suggesting that we retrograde back to a type of culture like that. I mean, fuck, we're just gonna shoot off all our technology into space. I mean, what we need to do is find a way to adapt our growing technological advancements to the basic tenets of the original indigenous cultures' conduct of society. I'm not saying I necessarily know exactly how to do that, but that's what we need to do, and that's what we need to focus on. If you're wondering why I'm tired, it's because I've been sick for a while. Anyway, that's all I gotta say about money for now.